Hello, I'm Jacinta. Welcome to my channel, Past That Plant. I have over 100 houseplants and I love to water propagate them. One of my most frequently asked questions is, how long does it take for the cuttings to root? There isn't one set answer. It can vary hugely depending on what plant you've propagated, the time of year you've taken the cuttings, whether you use a rooting hormone or not, and also the method. But let's have a look at a few different plants which I've propagated over the last few months so you can see how much the roots have grown in that time. First up, we have the Philodendron White Princess. I took these cuttings in September. And it is now May, so it's been about 8 months. They have grown very long roots over that time, and there's first and secondary roots. I like to wait until my roots are quite long before I transfer them to a potting mix. These are 2 cuttings. The roots are quite long, now I've untangled them. As well as growing healthy roots, a lot of new foliage has grown, which is quite gorgeous, which I'm very happy about because I do not like the mother plant, but that is a whole different video. So this is what 8 months of root growth looks like over spring and summer, and what the leaf growth looks like. All of these propagations are water propagations. It is my preferred method. One of the reasons is because you can watch the roots grow. Next we have a Pilea peperomioides pup, which also has a very mature root system with lots of first and secondary roots. New foliage has grown as well. I took this pup in October and pull that out. Tiny little pup. It's about 7 months ago. Both of these are well and truly ready to pot up, but it is almost winter here in Australia, so I'll probably hold off until spring. Next we have the Fiddle Leaf Fig bambino, or the Ficus bambino. I took several cuttings from the same plant. In December, so 6 months ago, and they have incredibly long roots. Well, some of them do. This one has rooted the best. Again, beautiful first and secondary roots. Next is this one. First and secondary roots as well. And then I have one tiny bit of stem and leaf, which has only just started rooting. So believe it or not, these 2 cuttings were taken from the same plant at the same time, and the difference in root system is wild. Especially seeing this one has only a tiny bit of foliage, so it's not using much energy. This one has a lot more, obviously, and rooted so quickly. I almost gave up on this one, but didn't, and here we are. Next is perhaps my favorite propagation at the moment, the Philodendron Pink Princess. I took these cuttings in March and it is currently May. And this is what 2 months of rooting has looked like. Just like my Philodendron White Princess, as well as gorgeous roots, I have new foliage growing. I took quite a few cuttings again. You can see lots of long roots, first and secondary. Again, ready to pot up. You can also see new foliage growing. Some little tiny leaves and branches. So that is the first 2 cuttings. And then the second 2, or third and fourth. Again, gorgeous long roots with first and secondary roots, and that's some new foliage growing. Some of the leaves are quite large and some of them are teeny. Again, same plant, same time, the 2 months growth. So pretty. So these 4 plants, I have the full propagation how-to on my channel in the video section, so I will link them all. The last 2 propagations I'm going to show you, I took the cuttings just 2 weeks ago and they've already rooted. You can find the full propagation how-to on these 2 in my shorts, but not in the long form. So this is my neon pothos. So again, I took these cuttings just 2 weeks ago. And they have tiny little roots growing already, very tiny, but definitely growing. Pothos do root quite quickly, but it is autumn here in Australia, so I am surprised just how quickly they've rooted. So 2 weeks, tiny roots on my pothos, and my Philodendron Brasil. I took these cuttings on the same day, so 2 weeks ago. I took lots of single leaf cuttings, still with stem and nodes, not just the leaf on its own, because that would not root. You need the nodes for this one. You can see how long those roots are. So we have 6 different plants here, all have rooted within 2 weeks to 8 months. 4 of the 6 are aroids, which means they're very easy to propagate because they have really clear nodes which turn into roots quite quickly when you pop them in water or a potting mix. The Pilea is also very easy to propagate because the pups grow at the base of the plant and are easy to snip off. The hardest of the 6 is probably the Ficus because there is no clear nodes which roots grow from. You need to take stem cuttings, let them callus, and then hope for the best. This one's just so pretty. I do treat all my water propagations the same. I rarely change the water. I will just top it up often as you need fresh oxygen getting to those roots. So I rarely change the water. I know some people change it weekly or every few days. I don't unless there's a big algae problem. Once they've grown quite long roots, I do add a water-soluble plant food monthly. This is because I do leave them in hydro for a long time before I pot them up, so they do need nutrients. In my experience, if you take cuttings in spring or summer, then you'll start to see roots in a week or 2. If you take cuttings in the cooler months, it is going to take a lot longer for them to root. I have propagated a ficus in winter before, and it honestly took months before it showed any signs of rooting. But this one, which I cut in the height of summer, was rooting within the month. And now look at her. I haven't yet decided if I'm going to transfer these before winter or after. I will of course film the transfers for all of these, but you can already find previous ones on my channel, as this is not the first time I've propagated any of these houseplants, and it won't be the last either. I also currently have some Begonia cuttings in water, but I took these a few days ago, so they haven't rooted yet. So we're cutting off these 2. So 1. Hopefully that was the right stem. I of course have to show off the mother plant, where those cuttings are from, who's in bloom. Again, even though it's autumn. I do already have the full how-to for each of these on my channel, so make sure you check those out and let me know which your favorite propagation is. Okay, bye.